YouTube then. Okay, all right, let me grab, I need beverage, and let me just grab that real quick. Yes. Okay. All right. So, hey, everybody on YouTube, here's the deal. Since you're going to hear this, most of you, let me see, Jason, Daniel, who's not there? Daniel's not on Discord. James, Evan. Okay, so all of you guys on YouTube, here's the deal. I got Discord fully functional. So there is live video, real-time video and audio on Discord. Okay. You're more than welcome if you're just purely watching, whatever, you're on your phone and you're just watching and you're not going to participate and you're okay with the time delay, that's fine. You'll catch it 20 seconds later. But if you want to be part of a live, see the whole thing in real time, then jump over on Discord and I can send another invite if people need it. Should I do that? That'd be helpful, you think? I will. Just that kind of guy. Hey, Steve, can you mute your mic? Okay, I just posted the invite. That goes away after a while. But, all right, thanks, Steve. Okay, so, what's our body count? 9, 10? Just give it a minute. Okay, so...
Do you want to keep roll Discord or on YouTube then?
You're sounding super choppy, Steve. Is that sounding choppy to anybody else, or is that just like the way I'm hearing it?
No, it's pretty bad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
You want to
pretty choppy.
You want to try that again, Steve? Or you can also, if you can't get the choppiness fixed, just chat it in Discord.
Okay, I'll be back.
Okay. All right, Steve. I mean, it sounded important and interesting and good, But anyway, isn't this sweet? Isn't this sweet? I just, got basically the live stream through Discord. So YouTube's just archival. And that way we get the recording and it's out there if anybody wants to watch it. But, becomes more important, really, kind of Discord as the live class experience. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, so today, I'm feeling a little bit lax about roll today because I don't even know if we're going to go, full, I don't know, I shouldn't say that because then it'll disappoint, but I don't even know if we're going to go full whatever today. So today, let's just say I don't care. How about that for roll? Is that good? And then what I'll watch is the concurrent viewers on YouTube will just like drop in half. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm out of here. No one's dropping off because they want to hear about the final. Okay, so number one, how are you guys doing? How's endosemestriosis treating you? Health-wise, life-wise? Anybody got a report of anything they want to share? Anybody got a story to tell? I got a story to tell. I was just chatting with my brother who lives in Iowa, and he's got a cabin on the Mississippi, and there apparently was some kind of a spike where they had like like hundreds of new cases in Iowa like yesterday, and it's affecting like packing plants, which is really, really big, right? Obviously, Iowa meat packing. And apparently the county where he has this cabin. I mean, you want to talk about being isolated. You're at the cabin, you get in your boat, you're on the Mississippi, right? And apparently county officials in this county, there are 99 counties in the state of Iowa, okay? And they're all like a little square, just like, it's like, I don't know. That's the deal. But anyway, and he just said that they had like closed the county to non-citizens of the county. But I don't know how you do that in practice when you've got like, oh gosh, I don't know, the highway that goes along the Mississippi running through your county. I don't. What do you like? Sorry, you can't drive through here. You know, and the county's only like, you know what I mean, half hour long. You know what? You know what I mean? These are not. I don't know if it's a half hour. Could be an hour. But I mean, it's not. These are not big counties. So Erica, 90. Oh, 90? No, that's 90 too many. Yes. So 9 would be a good number, right? I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works. You get funky situations where like the town of 2,000 people and that's the county seat. I don't know. I don't know what the history is, even though I grew up there. Anyway, to me that was funky, you know. And I mean, I get the motivation, but anyway, that's my story. That's my kind of like slightly. I don't know if that's crazy, but it feels a little goofy. It feels, you know what I mean. And it's not like responses are always entirely rational, you know. So that's what I got for story time on that. And then there are some things that feel a little goofy. I've read about this. I don't have personal knowledge, but like, I don't even know what state, but like grocery stores. Have anyone seen this or read about this? Grocery stores where somehow, I don't know who's the genius that comes up with this thing, but it's like you can't sell non-essential goods. Like, what are you talking about? You can't, if they're there and you've got, so literally sections, again, I don't have personal knowledge, but I've read about it. You know, a section of store that's like cordoned off because it's non-essential. So you can't buy like a toy for your kid because it's non-essential. It's sitting there, you know. It's not like, you know, a Tic Tac container full of coronavirus. You know what I mean? It's like, so in other words, I think people get crazy. I think that, I don't know, not everybody's thinking these things through carefully about like, how is that helping? You know what I mean? Anyway, if anybody's got anything to add, I don't even know, like I said, I try really hard to not be like, you know, I saw a meme and so therefore I know something's true. Try not to be that guy. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that when I see like a picture or whatever and then there's a caption, like I don't know exactly where that, you know, if that's all true. You know what I mean? People get crazy. So, all right, let me see. So Adam, yeah, people just, okay, how about, you know, like what was the one in California, like 30 tons of sand in the skate park?
I saw that actually.
Right? That seems to be real. And
I
again,
saw a follow-up video of a bunch of skaters like shoveling the sand out of it, and at one point they kind of made like a dirt bike course, and eventually they shoveled off enough sand to make it salvageable.
yeah. Yeah, anyway, I just think that not all solutions are equally reasonable and rational, even though there is a tremendous amount of seriousness. Anyway, that's my... okay. All right, so again, final alert to the folks before we kind of dive in on YouTube. There's a couple there, I think, that are not in Discord, and it's okay however you want to do it, but just for the YouTube folks that are only on YouTube, we've got everything live on Discord. So I've got this full streaming thing that's on YouTube is now streaming on Discord. But now you get video and audio in real time together on, a real time, half second delay, 100, 200 millisecond delay. So much, much nicer. So if any of you on YouTube that are live right now watching, if you want to just jump over on Discord, that's where the party is right now. That's where we are. That's where we're all gathered together tightly in social distancing on Discord. So, and so John, you mentioned Summit County. I don't know where the thing was, but if you've got any more information about that, I would, love to. I'm intrigued by all that. Okay, so here's what. So, I want to just say, last week, man, I want to just apologize. I was having like this bad flashback. I was like, I don't know what it was, man. Too many bad drugs in the 70s or something. I don't know what happened to me. But last Wednesday, when we were talking, and I was like, hey, let me just pull up the old one and we'll do a little review, whatever. So no, actually, there was no old one. There wasn't one. And it took me a while to persuade myself, and I even grabbed a couple students, from a year ago, and just like, am I making this up, or did we? So what we did was what I did last year. We did some stuff like in class, whatever, that was final-ish. And then I did this thing, which is posted on Canvas and has been like live and published since the semester started, where it's called Final Exam, in which the students get the last word. And it's really kind of like an involved feedback kind of thing. Okay. And then I was thinking, well, what do I want to do with that? Do I want to keep that or whatever? Then I looked, and two of you, diligent friends of mine, had actually already done it. I was like, my bad, totally, right? So I decided that, it really is a good idea. There's the whole feedback thing, and it's really, really valuable. Anyway, so I want to still do that, but I edited it just a little bit, and I renamed it Final Exam 2, in which the students get the last word. I'm going to post tonight. Conceptually, it will happen tonight. Okay? Now, this is my commitment to you. This is my commitment to you right here, okay? I think it's in writing. I think I've put it in writing. I think this says everything that I need to say. What I'm going to do is, no, and by the way, don't get overly worried. Anyway, this has just been rough. The whole thing's been rough on everybody. Some worse than others. Some have it's just been brutally hard. We've had this conversation. I'm going to post Final Exam 1. There'll be 2 final exams. The second one is just that feedback mode. Okay, kind of like what worked, and it's really just pass fail. Kind of, just do it, get the points. The other one I'm going to do is going to be Final Exam 1, in which the students are just going to tell me some things down the stretch. It's going to be posted like a homework. It's going to be on your own schedule. It's not meant to be regurgitation and memorization. You know what I mean? It's just meant to be like, let me drop some things on you. Let's talk about visualization, or let's talk about some of the principles that we did. And I really want to, let's talk about UML, but I want to just kind of give you an opportunity to just, share, things that you've learned, things like that. But it's not meant to be super tricksy or anything like that. Okay. So these should all be quite reasonable to pound out, and they're not meant to be a big burden down the stretch. And mostly it's because 3450 to me is more of as much an experiential class as anything. Okay. And I don't know if we've had this discussion, but to me, there's kind of a taxonomy, a bit of a spectrum between, let's call it skills classes or knowledge classes and experiential classes. knowledge-based classes, like 2810 is a good example of a kind of knowledge-based, skills-based class, right? Literally, if someone shows up and goes, you know, hey, Dr. K, I really had all this stuff, but I don't have credit for the class, but I've whatever. And like, can I just show up and just take, you know, all 12 module exams? And I would say, yeah. I mean, do the homework or whatever, you know, talk to me, figure out whatever we have to do. But basically, yes. And if you can knock everything out in the first week, I'm good. You know, you have the skills, you're good. There are other classes where being there and being part of it, you know, like that CRC in class exercise, you know, it was a real experience, and it was really more about the experience. The discussions, the sharing, you know, I'm throwing stuff up on the screen. You're kind of, you know what I mean? We're talking about it and tearing it apart. Those to me are really, really valuable. And it's hard to quantify, you know what I mean? It's hard to look at that and just say, yeah, you did 83.5% of that experience. You know, if you were there, I'm willing to kind of give you credit for that when it comes to some of those things. So, and I really just want you to have the experience, have the learning, get some fluency. And I don't yet know, honestly, how to, you know, how to really, really refine the thing down from a kind of a measurability perspective. So, and in that instance, and given the whole pandemic and the crisis, I'm willing to just kind of give benefit of the doubt and pop out the other side and just say, in the spirit of what we've been doing, let's just continue, you know, kind of talking and sharing, you know. And I know that kind of blows some of the circuits from some of you who really want these things to be a little more discreet, you know, and kind of like, but Dr. K, what do you want me to do? I want you to get in touch with your humanity is what I want you to do. So, all right. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have, I'm probably going to be a laughing stock because, you know, this is going to be like just shredded. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. But anyway, do you guys have any questions? Also, if you're trying to talk and I'm not responding, if you're talking, you know, voice chat on Discord, you know, please ping me because sometimes it just goes south and I've got to restart that thing. So anyway, any either thoughts or questions, or clarifications about that, you know, how we're going to do the final stuff down the stretch. I hear no voices. Am I not hearing you guys?
You hear me?
Oh, yeah, I got it. Thank you,
Can
Chris.
you hear me?
Am I clear finally?
Oh, Steve, yeah, it seems like it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, thanks, guys. I just, you know the history, right? Where all of a sudden it would be like, you guys are talking and I can't hear it. I haven't actually, since I've been doing the go live and got that thing fixed, I have not had the, you know, the others muted thing where I can't hear everybody. So maybe that fixes the problem. I don't know. Okay. All right. Let me see. Last comment I had, yeah, thanks, Enoch, man. Yeah. Hey, what did I miss? No, we're not going to tell you what you missed. But what you did miss is the party's over on Discord where we're doing live video and live stream. Okay. So do you guys have any questions at all? Is this, and by the way, one of the things I'm going to have you do, just one little spoiler, I'm going to have you, I want you to generate for me one, and this is going to be graded. I want to feel like you've made a good effort on this. I want to do, so at least these three things are going to be in final exam 1, in which the students tell me some stuff. One is, I want you, you know, given everything that's happened this semester and everything, I want you to do a shiny object. You know, I want you to tell me about an experience, a product, you know, something that released the dopamine in your head. But the key to this one is, and I'll try to make this clear in the description, but the key is, I want you to kind of identify it and I want you to cite to it. I want a picture. I want, you know, a graphic, a screenshot, you know, something visual. And after you kind of identified this, you know, had this happy effect, Then I want you to I want you to break it down and try to postulate why. Why? And get into it. Get into it a little bit. This is more like a little bit of a slightly bigger essay. Complete with picture, it might be like a page. All right. And then I want you to do the same thing for a squeaking door. Okay. And then, can I just say this? Okay, are there any questions? Yeah, these are metaphors. But I want you to, same with the squeaking door, I want you to kind of go, I don't want you to just go, blah, blah sucks. I want you to go like, well, what, why does it suck? What was the blown opportunity, right? What was the blown opportunity? That it didn't have to suck, but it did. And it can be really, truly anything, it can be anything, any genre. Software's ideal in many respects. Software's ideal. All right. And then remember the cards. Who did the cards? I can't remember. But we talked about them, right? That was epic. That'll be forever epic. That's always going to be in my slides now, by the way. And you'll be forever credited. I can't remember who it was. If you're here, you can identify yourself and take credit publicly. But, stuff like that, it's like one thing to say, yeah, this just made me real happy. But when you really break it down, okay, no, I got an example. I got a buddy, and he just launched a company, right? And he threw a logo at me. And he was just like, what do you think about the logo? And it was amazing. It was beautiful. It was literally the idea that came to my head when I was looking at this logo was delicious. This was it's like I sat there and just kind of went into this like Zen place just looking at this logo, and then I pinged back to the group, where they'd asked my opinion. I pinged back and just said, this logo was so delish that I had impure thoughts. I have to be honest, it was like this it was an incredible experience. Okay. So then you're like, what, how, what, how did you, how did somebody do that? What is, and I guarantee you that to get from that, like, I don't know. You can also pick movies. My favorite movie of 2019, back when movies were a thing, was Knives Out. Why? Why do I love that? Why do I really, really love that movie so much, right? There are different reasons to love a movie. Why, right? So, but it takes a little bit of, you got to learn a little bit about the space. Music, songs, art, movie, television. All right. Everybody got it? So, but be willing to break that down a little bit. Then the other thing I'm going to do, the third thing, is, we talked about like patterns of leadership, and we finished all those patterns of leadership. We finished all those slides. I went back to the lecture on YouTube and double checked. But what I'd like you to do is create your own. Okay. Remember earlier in the semester when I had you guys build some patterns, and there was one actually that Tim did, that has now blessed my life like crazy. It has to do with when you get to like websites and there's a paywall, or there's, whatever, there's something that's kind of clogging your way, and you just want to read the one article about just go disable JavaScript. Maybe if I were a better web guy, I would have thought of that. Maybe some of you already do this, but I read that, and then it's like my life can never be the same, Oh, and I still owe. Okay, yeah. So Devin, I still owe you pattern for never losing your keys. We'll kind of get back to that. Okay. All right, everybody cool? 2 thumbs way up. You can also talk, on the voice channel. And the voice channel pipes to the output. It's also beautiful. Okay. And the rest of it, the way I'm doing this thing is, you know, the deadlines are still kind of what the deadlines are. In light of everything that's gone down, I'm just being super flex on deadlines. You know, enjoy it. I mean, the rest of everything going around us kind of sucks pretty bad, but enjoy at least that part, you know, which is not going to come around. So here's the deal. This is what's going to happen. This is the end of the semester week, class week. Next week is ostensibly finals week. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take work until April 30th. Okay? That is the end of finals week. And I think, let me see real quick. I'm just double checking the dates. Yeah, that's Thursday, okay? Thursday of next week. All right, week from Thursday. And the deal is, and the reason that I have to cut it off somewhere is that I've then got 5 days across the weekend to get all of my grades submitted. May 5th. I don't know why they're due so quick. When I was on faculty, you know, down the Parkway, it seems like we had several weeks to get our grades submitted. I'm not sure. But, all right. So I'll take work until the end of April 30th, and then on May 1, I drop into my marathon grading mode, and I've got to get my grades submitted by the 5th. If you can do any of your stuff early, I'll try to get all the grading, you know, do it while I'm going, so it's not just a big crazy mode down the end. But anyway, that's the dynamics, okay? I'll take stuff until the 30th that I would not have otherwise taken. Just appreciate you putting in a good effort. You know, when it's kind of honor system, like, you know, do the code from the chapter in the skater book. Hang on. I got to also share something with you that relates to this, and it's something that I'm going to try to use later. Now, if I can find it, I have so many tabs open that it's absurd. Truly, truly. Let me see something. Okay, all right. I'm going to drop a link on you right now. This was actually shared with me by Devin. But there's the link right there I'm going to drop on you. And I'm going to drop it on YouTube as well, just so it's part of that record. Where are we at? Okay. So this kid, I don't know much, and I haven't watched much yet. But this kid, Christopher O'Cravy, and then let me just do a quick navigation to, well, you know what I can do, actually. Let me, second. Yeah, I mean, hey, we have the technology, right? So this is the website, and again, I mean, hats off to this kid. Come on, man. Be a little faster for me, please. Yeah, not a good free shot here for Mr. Christopher, but check this out. Strategy pattern. Design pattern, strategy pattern, episode 1. Look at this. Look at that. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? 500,000 views? Are you tracking that? 500,000. So again, I haven't watched it. Devin said it was great. That was 3 years ago. And somewhere, you know, right, check it out. Decorator, observer, strategy. I'm trusting that Mr. O'Cravy has more hands-on to these things than I do in terms of a current fluency, right? I've got that ancient thing, but I think that he, you know, I'm giving him benefit of the doubt. I just believe there's no way he's going to be this good and get this many views. But you see it right there? Do you see what I'm looking at here? That's the Skater Chick. He is talking about and using the Skater Chick book. not bad, right? Boom, and they're all there. Look at these. You know, even the scrubs are like 68K, 68,000 views. Look at that, man. Look at that. 250,000 views. Anyway, like I said, I don't have like, you know, full experiential validation of everything he's done. Okay. So, and that's all right. But man, it just looked like a really great resource, you know, because like, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Devin. I think it was Devin who said that, and part of the reason he was probably scouting around was that, you know, he was finding, and I think some of you are finding like interviews for internships or jobs or whatever, that people are asking you about design patterns. And, you know, it's a way of testing a certain kind of fluency. And anyway, so if you want to just sort of just be better informed, better equipped, supplement the skater check, I might actually, I mean, the dude's going like 35 minutes on strategy, 35, there we go, strategy, 50 minutes on observer, almost an hour on decorator. So, you know, and I might, based upon, you know, how impressed I am when I get a chance to really go through these, I may just drop these into the schedule and just say, look, this guy's great resources. So leverage that as well. So I wanted to pass that on to you. Okay. And to Mr. Okravi, if you're out there listening or watching or whatever, we should probably cite to that in the YouTube thing. You know, just want to say, well done, sir. Well done. I'm just impressed with the reach that he's been able to accomplish. That's just, I mean, it's impressive. So, and then again, I'll be a better judge when I've had a chance to really watch them in greater detail. I've not watched much. Okay. Everybody good with that? Let's see. Okay. So down the stretch. So that's kind of really that's the final exam review. Okay. That's our exam review. Let me just see real quick. Yeah, we got.
I have a question. Just,
yeah. Yeah,
one
go,
thing
Steve.
I wondered about was, you said patterns of leadership. Was there anything specific that you were looking to have us do concerning that you want to tell us now?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's just to write a pattern. Like earlier, I had you write a pattern in pattern form, right? Like, what's the context, right? What's the problem? What's the context? What's the solution? You know what I mean? What's the outcome? Like
Okay,
that.
so we need to be able to do that. Do a more formal definition of a pattern.
Yeah, do a more formal pattern, like unto the organizational patterns that Neil Harrison did with Jim Copeland, right?
Okay.
And I talked a little bit about like the wise fool as a pattern, right? So, and what it is there's a context, right? What's the context? You know what I mean? There's groupthink, there's orthodoxy. It's a difficult dynamic to just come straight out and say, hey, listen, I don't know if that's a good idea. Well, that's because of blah, you know, and you get this weird back and forth. The wise fool is able to, you know, kind of almost go backdoor, right? Like, you know, I'm new here and I probably just don't understand, but like, why do we do the one thing? I'm just curious, you know. It seems counterintuitive on the surface, but you know, I mean, I'm sure there was a good reason. And then it gives somebody an opportunity in the room to go, I don't know that there was a good reason, you know. And then, yeah, why do we do it? And suddenly the discussion shows up, right? So there are dynamics. The dynamics are what you're going to do. You give it a name, you state the problem, you state the context, right? Go back, reference back to, you know, earlier in the semester when we did the patterns. You can follow Copeland's approach. You can follow Alexander's approach. You know, I don't care. But it should be the kind of thing that when I look at that pattern, I look at that and, you know, I've talked all about, that whole lecture was about, you know, I've considered principles of leadership, you know, integrity and trust and honesty, right? I'll give you one example that again might fit in. These could be like management patterns, like positive. I think there's no real discernible difference in my mind between really effective management patterns and leadership patterns, right? We talked a little bit about there's not really a dichotomy there. So how about this one? It's common for companies. This one is, I'll call this pattern poaching allowed. Okay? Poaching allowed. Or poaching encouraged. Or you must poach. Poaching encouraged, okay? And are you guys familiar with companies where there's like a no poaching rule? And you know what I mean by that? By a no poaching rule? I'm going to go voice. Anybody on the voice channel?
Is that when you, like, if you leave the company, you can't bring your coworkers to the new company or whatever?
That's a higher level view of poaching. That's like poaching from company to company, and that kind of winds up being like contractual and agreements between companies and things like that. This is more internal to the company. So this is like, let's just say, Erica, you're a manager, right? And then you come, and I'm an engineer on some other team, and you come and you sit down and you go, "Hey, Chuck, I got a spot. I think you would be perfect for it." And I'm just like, "Oh, I would love to come work for you. My boss is an idiot," or whatever my motivation is, right? And then I'm just like, "Yeah, what do I do?" And they're like, "Yeah, you just got to go online, do the thing." Great, right? Next thing you know, VP comes rolling in and goes, "Yeah, hey, Erica, yeah, we don't poach. There's no poaching in the company. You can't go recruit somebody from somebody else's team." Have anybody seen that? I've seen it. Anyone else seen that live?
Maybe this is on a smaller scale, but we do this in my company all the time. There's the account specialist agents in the call center, and we work in tech support, so we're a little more advanced. And so we're always looking for good account specialist agents that we can poach over to tech support. So our company doesn't have a problem with it, but it's definitely something that they really love that we do.
So they like that you do it. So
My company's the same where, like, I'm actually switching teams right now because of basically the same thing of our company highly encourages it.
Positive poaching. Yeah, well, and it might be that my experience is dated. My core industry experience, of course, is dated. Other than, companies that I founded, and are small, but so the no poaching rule, I don't even know again exactly where it comes from. Might be generational, but I think it's horribly, horribly myopic, right? So and sometimes they will also, if you want to do anti-patterns, which is like something you shouldn't do, okay? An anti-pattern would be to describe the negative pattern that is destructive. You know what I mean? Like, do this if you want to destroy your company. So anyway, the pattern, the poaching pattern, the poaching is good pattern, let's call it, or definitely poach, or poaching encouraged. What it's basically meant to combat is because, okay, number one, when you have a no poaching policy, it's all bullcrap, because poaching is going to happen whether there's a policy or not, right? Because what I'm going to do is let's flip it, okay, Erica, I'm the manager, and you're the engineer that I'm going after, right? And we sit down, I'm like, "Yeah, I know I'm not poaching you. I'm not poaching you. But I am telling you that there's a spot that's going to open up on my team, and it's going to be perfect for you. And we didn't have this conversation." And then you go and apply for the position, and all it does is just foster dishonesty, because everybody knows that the best hires and the best recruits in or outside the company are word of mouth, and you already know somebody. Everybody already knows that. So to say no poaching is to impose like a weird artificial reality that's not even true. And everybody knows it's not true. But we have to like pretend. It breeds just some horrible ethic, number one. The other thing it does is it shuts down the market trying to teach you. So one of my kind of core philosophies that I've talked about in the past is that the market, this is kind of a core business thing, but it's really a pervasive, true principle, that the market is a relentless teacher. The market wants to teach you. And by market, I mean any market, okay? The marketplace of ideas, the free market, the economic market, the marketplace of people in your company, right? There's a market that's at play. And the market wants to teach you nonstop. It's always trying to teach you. And whenever you sort of short circuit the ability of the market to teach you, you lose massive information, right? So in an economic sense, if I make a company that's selling whatever and I suck at managing that company, the market is going to teach me that I suck at managing that company. And it'll teach me by basically putting that company into a position where it's either going to get rid of me or it's going to fail. If it keeps me, they fail. The market's going to see to that, right? Okay? And so this is also one of the reasons why, I tend in general to be disposed against things like government bailouts of certain of industries, in part because maybe the market's trying to tell company X that they're supposed to change, right? And if I shore it up artificially, I get the stability without having to change and be responsive. And I short circuit the feedback loop in the information cycle, okay? Right, so anyway, so with a no poaching policy, what happens in a poaching environment, right? So let's go, since CJ just jumped in with his survival, this is Darwinian philosophy. Let's just say that CJ's this crappy manager, right? And Erica's working for CJ. Is that fair, CJ? Erica's working for CJ. CJ sucks as a manager. I'm the bomb, and Erica's like the best engineer in the division. Okay? Two of these things are probably true in real life. So what happens is the best managers in an open environment where the market is allowed to sort of move, the best engineers gravitate to the best managers, right? Do you see movement of people all toward a certain manager? Maybe that's your next director. Why is everybody going to that manager, right? It makes you ask the question. Everybody's fleeing this one manager's team, CJ. So why, right? Sorry, CJ. Why is everybody leaving CJ's team? Well, it might be that CJ's team, that the technology sucks or whatever, but then CJ goes to another team and starts to manage a different team in a different area, and everybody leaves that team, right? The market of people and, human resources is trying to teach you who are the better managers. And if you have a no poaching rule, you short circuit the ability of that internal market to teach you who the best managers are. That's my pattern. That's a pattern I live by. Does that make sense? So that's just an example. And that's a leadership pattern. I think it's management pattern too, and there's a fine line between those, okay? And if you want to if it's easier for you to talk about something really destructive, negative, then make it an anti-pattern and do it as an anti-pattern. Or if you want to, you can think of it like there's this thing that drives me crazy. Then you have to stop and go, well, what would the positive thing, what's the opposite of that, right? So, like, here's an anti-pattern in business, in the industry. Yes men. That's a pattern. It's an anti-pattern, right? But it is a pattern. It's a pattern that's destructive. It occurs in nature, right? It is the solution to a problem in a context. And it's bad, okay? It's really, so why is that an anti-pattern? Why is that bad? So it's an attempt to get you to try to think about leadership, but to tear it down more. Okay, all right? I hope that example kind of inspires you and gets the juices flowing just a little bit. Okay, so are there any other just end of semester, any like pertaining to the class? And again, since there are some latecomers, Tim, and I don't know if Dahlia was late, but anyway, anybody who came late to the YouTube thing, we have live chat, video and audio on Discord because we got to figure it out. So if you want to jump over there where everything's live, that would be great. Anyway, do you guys have any lingering questions? Then I got another thing to kind of throw out and see what you guys think. But any other lingering things? Oh, Dahlia. Well, yeah, man. Okay, hang on, Dahlia. She just posted to the chat. I have something for you guys that I was just going to post to Discord here. Okay, this is in honor of you, Dahlia, okay? And again, I hope nobody's offended by this, but some of you might enjoy that, okay? So just check that out on Discord. So that's we're all doing that, right? We are all daily. It's not just you. It is I promise, not just you. We are all doing this like I don't know what frickin' day it is. Anyway, so there. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay. Yeah. See, that got some. You guys were all like womp womp, and that kind of brought you all alive. So that's great. So do you guys? And I'm going to take it. No other questions. So here's what I'd like to do. If there are any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace, because I don't want to come back here on Wednesday, okay? So then irrespective of who thinks Wednesday is what day, I would like to just not be here. Just, get the thing posted. And here's what I want to do for the rest of the time. We got about a half hour on the schedule, and we can, basically, in my view, you can cut loose right now if you got stuff to do. But what I wanted to do was kind of open up sort of like just one last shot for any questions that you guys have of any type about anything. If it's overly personal, I'll defer to private chat, okay? If it's suitable for broadcast on YouTube, I will answer kind of for everybody. But, if you're just thinking whatever, right? Life, career, grad school, internships, really just anything from my, deep well of experience. It's not wide in the sense it doesn't take, it's narrow and it's mine. But to that extent, if there's value, I'd be happy to just go after any questions about anything that's like just nagging on your brain. And if you're like, then hey, it's been great. Oh yeah, do the SRIs, especially if you have good things to say. That would really be good. I appreciate it. Anyway, but yeah, if you guys would please take a crack at those SRIs. Does it help you guys if I put a link? Or does it really matter? Like you already know how to get to it and you already know what to do. Anyone?
I thought we'd get Canvas, right?
Say that again.
Isn't there just a place through Canvas?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, does it help you guys if yeah, okay, Tim said you should have all gotten emails with links to the SRIs. Okay. Let me see. We got a couple of mics open down there. Steve, Tim, I'm not sure who's got the background noise coming. Yeah. So yeah, do the SRIs. I appreciate it. The larger the number, the more representative it is. You know what I mean? It's just statistical sampling. You got to get a larger number to get the most best actual fit to reality. Hey Tim, can you want to mute yourself? I can mute you myself if I need to. Oh, somebody's making sounds. It's not me.
I do have a question.
Yeah, McKay. McKay, can you go louder? You're coming in really, really faint. No, I can't hear you. I mean, I can hear that you're talking.
Can you hear me?
Oh, that's way better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just had the settings down. So,
Okay.
the pattern of leadership for the final.
Yeah.
Is that more of like a leadership position, or is just something like a workplace paradigm you would experience? Because I'm thinking of like taking a look at something that maybe my wife has been experiencing, like in her own job,
Yeah.
but she's not in a leadership position. So is that
Oh no, it can be something you've lived, something you've observed. Um, let me see. McKay, is that your? I got a lot of background chatter coming. I'm thinking it might be yours, McKay. You want to try to mute and see if it goes away?
yeah, sure?
No, where is it coming from? I mean, someone's like yakking the crap out of this thing. I don't know.
I don't hear anything.
You don't? Is it watching TV? It's some kind of chatter. Okay. And I'm looking and all the mics are wait, you know what it could be? Hang on. It could be me. Okay, this could be embarrassing. Just a second here. It might be me. Crap, if I get these things out of the way. Just a second. I don't even know what that is, but what I'm thinking is I got all those tabs open. It could be that just something on one of my tabs is just playing its little heart out. News? Because normally I can, sorry. Actually, let me try one thing real quick. Let me try muting my mic.
The security deposit to take care of all the damages to my seat pass, and that was $1,500, of which you got $600.
Okay. Oh, man. Yeah, okay.
Sounds like Judge Judy. Who's got Judge Judy going?
Is it Judge Judy? I don't even know. No, I'm looking on my... Let me see something. Wait, did it just go away? What happened? Wait. Okay, what happened? What was the deal? Oh my gosh. I was just like, man, I hope it's not, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't want to like, I mean, who knows? That was kind of funky. Because it continued when I'm muted. Wait, was it Kyle? No?
Everybody was muted. I have no idea.
I know,
how
everybody was
audio came
muted.
through. It was weird.
Oh my gosh. No, but if somebody's doing like a share, I mean, I was thinking, because here, I'll give you an example. If I go over to, let's just go to, I'm just trying to find something. Let's see. Here we go. Some guy teaching me about bass drum.
Lately, I've received a lot of questions.
Right?
about
You can hear that, right?
Whether I recommend to play with the
Can you guys hear that?
I
No?
can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
heel up, heel
I can't hear either.
Me neither.
down.
Okay. Well, then it couldn't have been me on any audio from YouTube. I probably would have had to have set up something slightly different on my Discord thing. Okay. Well, it wasn't me. No, I don't. Judge Judy, man, that's just the dregs of entertainment right there. No offense to anybody who really digs Judge Judy, but I just don't get that, man. Okay, so yeah, back to McKay's original question before Judge Judy jumped in. Yeah, no, it's just anything that you've seen, lived through, experienced, somebody else. You know, as long as, like you were talking about your wife, right? I don't know Judge Joe Brown, John. But anything you've seen, whatever, if your wife can describe it and you can understand it, but the key is you got to understand that it is a solution to a problem in a context, right? Or, in the case of patterns and in the case of anti-patterns, it's a solution to a problem in a context that turns out to have some bad collateral damage, okay, that has like unintended consequence, negative consequence. Okay. Does that help out?
All right.
Does that help, McKay?
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, no, it's something you've just lived through,
Okay.
But you got to give it a name and try to make it as entertaining as possible would be great. Yeah. Any other questions, either about the class or just like I said, personal, professional, things that are like nagging at you. Again, I mentioned grad school, internships, career, interviewing, QA versus dev. I don't know. Management versus engineering. So, anything you got? I mean, if we don't, we'll just cut it loose, and that's all fine too. I mean, anybody can take off if they want right now, anyway. But, and by the way, all these judge shows, really, I don't. No.
Well, I'd like to talk to you about one of those topics, but I'd rather do it in private.
Okay, yeah, let's jump off on another chat when we get a chance. Oh, Judge Caprio's on Facebook. Very nice. Also, another
you don't
one's like
watching
startup
people argue
companies. What's that?
To find some kind of a solution that is decided by one person in the end anyway, huh?
Wait, say that again. Steve, say that again. I didn't hear it. So who asked this one? I always ask this of professors, what's your thoughts on straight to grad school versus taking a year off to work in industry? That's Taylor. Oh, that's a great question. So as always, it's competing forces, right? It's also really individual, for dang sure. Here's the deal. And there's pros and cons. In other words, there are advantages and disadvantages to doing both. The biggest advantages to going straight into grad school, if you're thinking about that, is you're already poor, you stay poor, and then you go on through to grad school remaining poor, and then you get your degree, and now you're, whatever, 30 something, and you got your degree, you got your grad degree. The disadvantage to that is you can get really burned out on school, and some people are like, oh, it's no big deal. I liked it. I went straight through. For others like me, it was pretty exhausting. And so there was a point where I really needed to just get a break. And, then you get the break, you get real income, you can pay some bills, you can do things like that. And you bring that extra experience when you come back to grad school. All that's true. The biggest problem with that is that what you guys don't understand, and I don't mean this in any way, this is not an insult. This is just like natural law. You're relatively young, by which I mean younger than me by a sizable amount. And you're mostly in school. You're in school, so you're mostly, more on the poor side, right, than on the killing it side. And then what happens is you get out into industry, you start making real money, you start moving up the chain, you pour all your energy into all of that. And pretty soon you're making some serious cash bones. And then you're like, hey, I think I want to go to grad school. Oh, let me start by quitting my $100,000 a year job to go be a full-time grad student, which if you're going to do a PhD, you really, really need to be full-time in the lab. That has to be your full-time engagement for a few years. For the master's degree, it's less critical, but it's a hell of a lot of pressure if you're trying to do working full-time and then just tack a master's degree on top of that schedule. That's brutal, really, really brutal. And not everybody has the, propensity to put themselves through that, weird self-destructive, thing like me. But so it is really hard. And my experience is that when in my informal data gathering on this, when people say, I'm just going to go work for 5 years and then I'm going to come back to grad school, I have, with the exception of me, who did that, I have never actually seen it happen. Ever. And I've heard it said, dozens of times, and I think it's a way of kind of diluting yourself. But here's the other thing. If you're off in industry and this draw for the grad degree just keeps nagging at you and nagging at you, and you need to do it, then I think there's a higher chance that you're going to actually do it because something inside of you just needs to do it. And so, and I definitely had that. The other thing, it has a lot to do with what's your core motivation for doing it in the first place. If you're just like, oh, should I just hang out and what else have I got? What have I got better to do than this? And, then it's like, okay, that's fine. But if you're out there doing well in industry, it's brutally hard to adjust your lifestyle. You buy a house, you got a car, you got a minivan full of little kids, you got crap going on. And what you don't understand, here's what I was starting to say. You don't understand how quickly $100,000 in annual income vanishes. Now, when you don't make that, if you're only making 20, you live on 20. When you're making 40, you live on 40. When you make 100, you live on 100. And when you make 200, you live on 200. Everything just shifts for the most part. And if you can save money when you're making $200,000, you can save money when you're making $50,000. And if you can't save money when you're making 50, you aren't going to save it when you're making 200. So I'm just saying it's really hard to go and make real money and then just drop back to going and being poor. Very brutally difficult. Okay. That's my short answer on that one. Erica asked, what's the biggest benefit of grad school that you see? Job opportunities, money, or something else? Yes. And then I'm going to get back to Tim. Biggest benefit of grad school. I think that there's a lot of factors. I think all of those are at play. From a job opportunity perspective, grad school kind of like sets you up. First of all, there's a couple of weird dynamics. If you're like in a company tooling along, and then while you're in that company, you are going to school on the side, and then one day you get the degree. Here's the day when you get the degree. For the most part, it's not going to change anything going on for you inside that company. It's not going to change anybody's perceptions of you. I remember, a friend who, while he was a developer, good one, and then he did an MBA on the side because he wanted to pivot and go into marketing and finance and things like that, right? So he does this MBA on the side, and then when he finishes his MBA, he could not get a look in marketing and that kind of stuff at the same company. He could leave and go to another company, walk through the door and say, yeah, I'm interested in a marketing position. But inside the company, he couldn't even get a look. And it was because the perception was that he was this developer, and you really couldn't quite overcome that. So, but when you're coming through the door and you're like, oh, you have a master's degree, or oh, you have a doctorate, it's like instead of starting here in the thing, you start here or somewhere up the chain. The other thing it does inside a company, it is because advancement is often about expectations. And if you come in with a bachelor's degree, then there's a certain curve that they kind of expect. If you come in with a master's degree, they kind of almost expect you to rise faster. Okay? You come in with a doctorate, they expect you to rise even faster. And so there's a kind of the way the thing is set up, the vector that gets set when you first show up, And so there is a job, there's definitely a job advantage. Now, one of the interesting things is back in my day, there was kind of a conventional wisdom that you did not want to hire doctorates to go build product. Okay? Google changed that. And now you can get your doctorate and go industry. Back in the day, it was like you got your doctorate, you were going to academia. Not 100%, but not uncommon. You were going to go do research somewhere. Today, you can get your doctorate and go anywhere. And in fact, the money's better, the opportunities are better. And you can go to the big companies and a lot of advantage to that. But historically, here was the struggle. Historically, it went something like this. You know, if you need, you're in the middle of an emergency and you need like a knife, like, Bill, I need a knife right now. And if Bill's a PhD, then what happens is Bill goes dark for like a month. You needed the knife, you know, you didn't get a knife. And then Bill delivers to you a 100-page treatise, double spaced in proper, you know, formatting on knives, right? That was the classic dichotomy. PhDs like to talk about stuff. They're not really that great at building stuff. That's the conventional thing. I think that's changed for a number of reasons, but certainly the expectations in the industry have changed because of Google. So the opportunities, Erica, if you come in with a master's degree or a doctorate, it's a little easier to walk through the door and pitch yourself as something, as an architect or as somebody, you know, that's going to do a certain kind of leadership. The letters do mean certain things. It doesn't mean that you can't have all of that without the letters. And it doesn't mean that if you have the letters that you're all that in a bag of chips, okay? It's very reasonable to have every combo. You're looking at, you know, kind of a general pattern of distribution, right? You show me somebody with a PhD, I'll show you somebody, you know, smart enough to handle it. But the truth is most undergrads are smart enough to handle whatever a PhD has to throw at them. So that's sort of, you know, that's not really that definitive, depending on what they've done and what else they're showing. But I'll show you somebody with the determination to do a really hard thing and somebody who's had that much more learning and background and foundation and learning how to research and, you know, certain kinds of stuff. There's a package. But the sort of the stick-to-itiveness to actually complete it is huge. And again, it's about sort of, you know, general distribution. You know what I mean? There's some curves that overlap. You know what I mean? Right? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know, pick something like, you know, average height of men versus women. Men on average are taller. Okay, I hope that doesn't burst anybody's bubble, right? Women on average are shorter. There are women who are taller than some men. There are men who are shorter than some women. There, you know what I mean? But there's two, you know, distributions that, did you see my normal distributions? And they go like that. You know what I mean? So it's not like this. You know what I mean? The shortest man is taller than the tallest woman. This is the logical fallacies that people just get so wrapped around their axle, right? It's the problem with taxonomy. But the average height, they're different based upon only that one differentiation, right? So anyway, similarly, the average income for a PhD is better than the average master's, which is better than the average bachelor's, which is better than the average no degree. All things being equal, right? But all things are never equal, right? Anyway, I hope that makes sense. You know, and so anyone's like, Bill Gates didn't get a degree. Oh, you got me. Yeah, because I was saying that nobody could be successful without a doctorate. That was what I was saying. Killing me. No, you know what I mean? You get a, well, you know, whatever. You know, Jobs didn't have a degree either. That just proves that you can succeed big without a degree. That's an existence proof for you can succeed without the degree. Sure. I don't think that's generally a great path for success. Just hope to be Bill Gates, you know, and drop out of Harvard and go, you know, found a massive successful company, right? You know what I mean? Go be Steve Jobs, go to India, drop LSD, and then go be a billionaire. I mean, you know, it works for some people. You know what I mean? It doesn't work for everybody. You know, I mean, there's also like a mainstream that all things being equal is going to be generally more beneficial, right? And everyone's got, I got a brother-in-law with a PhD and he's driving cab in New York City. You're like, okay, is your brother-in-law an idiot? You know, I mean, or fell in hard times, or what are the other mitigating? You just gave me one variable and one outcome, and it is a multivariate analysis. Why don't you give me the rest of the story? And I guarantee you, a dude with a PhD who's driving cab in New York City is a dude with a lot of other variables that you have not talked about. Okay, end of rant. But I want to say one last thing, Erica, about that. I think that for me, one of the biggest factors for grad school is I think it ought to be something that's kind of like in your heart, you know, that you feel like you need to do it. You want to do it. You need to do it for you, you know, because it's just hard. It's hard and it's arbitrary and there are stupid hoops you have to jump through, you know, and arbitrary, you know, you got doctoral committee members with really low emotional intelligence. You know, are you ready to go through all that? You know, if you are, then you might, you know, you can probably go for it. If you're really not, you know, it's probably not going to end well. You know, so that's my own sense. You got to know what you're getting into, basically, and we can talk more about all that. But I think that if it's something in your heart, I think you should go for it. I really believe that, and I also believe I don't care how old you are. I don't care what the circumstances are, you know. I was 34 when I started my PhD. I hauled off to Corvallis with no job, broke, 5 kids in tow, wife and 5 kids. Bought a second house while I was still employed because I knew that once I quit that job, I'd never be able to actually get a house. So I bought a second house. Then I sold my first house. Then I had a house and a mortgage and no job, but I couldn't have done that. And there was no place for rent in the city of Corvallis that would have fit my family, basically. So, all right, let me see. What was the other one? Let me see. Yeah, how bad? So Tim asked, how bad is it if I just do straight summer school and no internships before graduating? That's a really good question, Tim. Again, it's kind of a personal thing. I am a big, big fan of resume building. Because here's the thing, let's just say you're an average, you know, UVU student at the stage in your career and you're whatever. I don't know how old you guys are. 25? That's probably not. Average age at UVU is higher, you know, than you know, say BYU or U of U. Because we're the school of second chances, which is one of the things I really, really love about UVU. And I was, you know, you might recall pushing 30 when I finished my undergrad, right? I'm pushing 40 when I finished my PhD. So I'm a big believer in the idea that time is your friend. Don't worry about like, oh, I'm going to be 28 instead of 27. Nah, doesn't matter. I'd rather be 28 with a killer internship at this one company with a name brand, and then another killer internship at another company with a name brand, and be 28 interviewing, than to not have, you know, those 2 internships, but have the degree and I'm like 27. You know, because time's going to pass no matter what. Time's passing. You're going to be 28 in a year if you're 27 right now, no matter what you do. And so it's really more like you know what I mean? It's more about setting the vector and setting the long-term target. For example, if you're thinking, I don't know, man, I'm old, you know, I was 34 when I started my PhD, and which is, I guarantee you that's old. And then that was 22 years ago, which is crazy to think about. It was 22 years ago that I finished my PhD, which is weird. And I thought I was old at the time. To be 38 again. I'm just saying time's going to pass. But if you set up the internships right, and you're building a story, your resume tells a story, and the potential, you know, folks that are going to hire you, they're reading that resume and they're reading the story that you're trying to tell them. And that includes things like, I mean, interviewing is hard. So if I can kind of go, oh, you know, they had an internship at Adobe. I'm not just picking on Adobe because it's a name brand. You know, then you're like, well, Adobe must have known something. You know, I went to HP. Back in the 80s, having HP on your resume helped you no matter what. Kind of like having Google on a resume would today. Or, you know, any of the big companies, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, you know, who's big. And it allows somebody who's looking at you just going, oh, Adobe. Like, oh, they're smart. They must know you're smart. Therefore, I'll assume you're smart, and it's going to help me. You know, and then you're going to go, but if they're like, so what is Spudnucket Industries? You're like, it's just my brother-in-law. He's got a little startup, and I wrote some code for him. you know, and you're like, that's the best you could get was your brother-in-law Spud Nugget Industries, you know, right? I mean, it just doesn't, it's just a harder sell. So if you can do, whether they're internships or whether it's just a part-time job or, you know, working where you're building that resume, you know, like for example, I've had students that are like literally driving forklift, right? In a warehouse. Okay. Well, if you got to drive a forklift in a warehouse, do it at a warehouse at a tech company. You know, forklift driver, Adobe. There's still an emotional impact of them going, oh, you were in the tech industry. Yeah, they wanted a guy driving the forklift who had a little tech background. You know, as quick as you can get out of the subway sandwich, you know, get out of the subways anyway. It's impossible to social distance in the subway. But I mean, as quickly as you can get out of, you know, working at the Arby's, and I mean, all work is good. All legal and ethical work is good. So I'm a fan of working, and I've done every crap job that the planet has to offer just about. But so I'm not talking about, I'm not dissing on work, but I am saying that once you start that degree, you're trying to tell a story about why somebody should hire you into the tech industry. Therefore, do anything. Be the security guard at a tech company. Be a tester just doing their web testing. Do anything that allows you to check some boxes and build experience. Because a degree is a degree is a degree. But if you have no experience at all, there is a little bit of an emotion of like, well, what's wrong with you? Why couldn't you get? The assumption is, why wouldn't you go work somewhere for 20 or 30 bucks an hour, right? When you're working for 10 bucks an hour, you know, at the Hoagie Yogi or whatever. Is that still a thing? You know what I mean? So build that experience any way possible. That's my opinion, Tim. And I would push back graduation for good experience myself. Your mileage may vary. You've got to make that decision yourself. But that's just my own sense of it. Okay, we're officially out of time, but you could all officially have left a half an hour ago anyway. What other ones do we have? Sergeant Pepper asks, do you recommend staying within the same industry for your master's as your bachelor's, or is doing your master's in a different industry okay? I think it's totally okay. I think it's fantastic, in fact. And it also depends on what you want to do. Like, for example, if you want to get an undergrad CS degree and then go to law school and you want to be, you know, you want to go be a trial lawyer maybe, or you want to be a patent attorney, or you want to just work in the tech industry, right? That's a powerful combo. If you're interested in law school, the CS undergrad, boom, go to law school. Go to med school, you know? I mean, I've known every possible variety of this. Go to med school. You don't think you're going to have a leg up when it comes to understanding and working with technology, or maybe even starting some company later on? Go get an MBA, you know, afterwards, and then pivot. Or you decide to go whatever. You'll go get a sociology degree, or you go get a whatever degree. Anyway, I'm a big fan of the multidisciplinary thing. And I think the CS degree equips you to do just about anything. And so it's totally okay. And it depends, Steve, on what it is you kind of want to do. You know, mechanical engineering, absolutely. Yeah. I had a couple of students back in my BYU days that did undergrads in computer engineering. They were really interested in wireless stuff. And I was doing wireless data communications in the CS department. They came over and did master's degrees in computer science. With me doing wireless data communications, we did a patent together for a wireless smart card. They then peeled off and reconvened about a year later at the University of Utah in the PhD program in medical informatics, did doctorates in medical informatics. And, you know, they've both been professors and really successful and done industry stuff, whatever. So they're just killing it out there. But, you know, they're just moving around. Now, that was all a little more related, but I think that you just have to do whatever, you know, whatever floats your boat. But I do want to say this. You do have to understand that there are market dynamics that relate to your choice of education, you know? So if you want to do underwater basket weaving for your master's program, you do have to look and understand what the market looks like for underwater basket weaving, right? Maybe there's only 20 of those jobs in the country, and there are 30 people chasing those 20 jobs already, and you want to spend 2 years of your life qualifying, you know what I mean, for no work. So, or you just love it and you don't care, fine, but you've got to understand the market dynamics so that you're not just shocked to pop out with a doctorate in psychology, but I don't really want to be a counselor or a therapist or a researcher. Well, what did now you're driving cab in New York City, right? I mean, I'm just saying, you can't be shocked. You have to understand what that combination is going to do for you. Some are more powerful. Some can actually diminish. Some just sort of pivot you and really make you well suited for one thing or the other. So anyway, that's my thing, Steve. I actually debated every time I got to another degree, I would stop and really debate deeply, And eventually I stayed CS, ironically, because I don't even think of myself in many respects as like a deep CS type. Maybe I'm delusional. But I would just go, what about, and I would rehash the whole thing. What about linguistics? What about psychology? What about philosophy? What about sociology? There's always these soft sciences that would attract me. I'd just be like, ooh, that'll take me this much time. But if I just go CS, So I do my PhD and I'm citing architects like Christopher Alexander and linguists like Sapir and Worf. So then I get into my professorial position and I'm doing sociological research and you know what I mean? You go, read some books, take some classes, acquire new expertise, and then just do whatever you want anyway. That's the truth about life. Just do whatever the heck you want. All right, so let me see. I think we're winding down. I got to cut loose anyway because I got to get ready for a phone call. CJ, you're very welcome. I hope hope it was a good experience, in the middle of all the pandemic madness. Hope you had a good experience. It wasn't just like the rantings of a madman. Well, that may also be true. With or without that being true, I hope you had a good experience. So, okay, all right. So I'm gonna truncate the YouTube thing. I'll stay on for just a few minutes while I'm doing that. And of course, I'm always on the Discord. I'm always on Discord. So, no class on Wednesday. No Ixnay class on Wednesday. I think we kind of made that clear. But in case it's not entirely clear,